Oumuamua, which is an object that we detected in space that you believe could possibly have been extraterrestrial.
Elon Musk just dropped a bombshell. Oumuamua, the mysterious interstellar object that puzzled scientists back in 2017, has returned. And it didn't come alone.
And this time, the usual follow-up measurements of position and speed showed something completely different.
This cigar-shaped visitor from another star system has left astrophysicists in complete shock.
It's kind of like a little jet engine on the surface. It just gives it a little thrust over time.
Scientists couldn't agree on what it was. As it cruises back into our solar system with a few companions, the questions are getting wilder daily. Is this a strange natural phenomenon, or could it be engineered from other worlds? Join us as we reveal the shocking details of one of the most mysterious discoveries in the history of space exploration. The second coming of Oumuamua. Elon Musk confirmed one of the most mysterious phenomena in modern astronomy, the return of Oumuamua. For those who haven't heard about it, Oumuamua was first discovered back in 2017. It all began when astronomers caught something strange moving through our solar system. No one could explain it, but they all agreed that it came from outside our solar system.
It was the very first object that visited our vicinity in the solar system from outside the solar system.
They eventually named our strange visitor Oumuamua, a Hawaiian name meaning scout or messenger from afar arriving first. But just as suddenly as it appeared, it was gone. It zipped past the sun and slingshotted away, leaving more questions than answers behind. Now it's back, but this time it didn't come alone. Things are getting more serious. Stick around for the chilling revelations ahead. You see, Oumuamua has not just captured astronomers' attention. Elon Musk was one of the first to comment publicly on it. Remember that SpaceX had just completed a deep space telescope project, and the data from their sensors confirmed what astronomers were saying. Oumuamua is back cruising in our solar system. The first Oumuamua had rattled the space world, but now there were more. According to Musk, this is the most important discovery in human history. He also warned governments and space agencies to take it seriously. According to him, we are either dealing with a natural phenomenon we don't understand or something way more baffling. If Musk treated this as a significant event, it wasn't something to brush off.
This was not some solar system object falling from a long way away.
So the scientific community had no choice but to launch investigations. But how exactly did Oumuamua pull off its second coming? That takes us to thousands of astronomical laboratories worldwide that have confirmed the arrival. It started with an unusual blip in telescopes scanning the sky. Astronomers at these observatories noticed something cutting through space at an angle that didn't match the usual paths of asteroids or comets. It wasn't behaving like a typical rock from our solar system, but they were worried it could be headed towards us, maybe a weapon launched by aliens, so they decided to calculate its target. Luckily, the trajectory data revealed that it was once again cruising in interstellar space. It was from outside our solar system, cruising near ours, but it isn't yet determined to target us directly. But then, scientists also noticed something. The object followed the exact flight path as Oumuamua, almost as if retracing its steps.
It's almost certainly a natural object. I would bet all of my money on that.
That's when the realization hit. Either Oumuamua had somehow returned, or something identical had arrived. When scientists checked the skies for more anomalies, they found something even more startling. There wasn't just one object. There were several. If Oumuamua had been a one-time event, it could have been written off as a fluke. But a second object, nearly identical in shape and movement, shattered that idea. And the presence of more meant something bigger was happening. Objects like this weren't supposed to be shared. Yet now, for the second time in less than a decade, something had entered our solar system from the void beyond. But Oumuamua came with a bit of difference this time. The new objects shared key similarities with the first Oumuamua. They are long like giant space cigars and lack the usual characteristics of comets or asteroids. They do not leave gas trails like comets when they heat up near the sun. They also aren't behaving like solid rock.
Now, this isn't a particularly close approach or unusual distance. It's just much easier.
Instead of slowing down or being affected by gravity in predictable ways, they seem to accelerate slightly, just like Oumuamua did. But there were differences too. The second object wasn't alone. It had at least two others following at a distance. The good news is that scientists were prepared this time. When Oumuamua passed through in 2017, we only had a small window to observe it before it was gone. Our technology wasn't ready. Now things have changed. Ground-based telescopes were more advanced, and multiple space agencies had deep space observation missions running. Private companies, including SpaceX and Blue Origin, had satellites with high-powered cameras pointed outward. This time, we wouldn't just watch these objects pass by. We could track them. That's not all. Within days of the discovery, NASA and other space agencies were scrambling to put together missions. Unlike 2017, when we had barely any time to react, these new objects gave scientists a rare second chance. SpaceX announced that it was working with NASA to fast-track a probe launch. The goal is to get a spacecraft close enough to study one of these objects before it disappears into deep space again. But we are not alone in this endeavor. Other countries are also getting involved. For instance, the Chinese Space Agency had developed its plans, while the European Space Agency might repurpose one of its existing probes to intercept the object. The idea of launching a mission to intercept interstellar visitors had seemed impossible in 2017. Now, with newer technology, it was suddenly within our reach. If you are worried about the urgency of the global approach, well, you have a reason to be. If these objects weren't random chunks of ice and rock, if they were something else, humanity need to find out what they were before they left again. Now let's consider what scientists have said about the Oumuamua sightings and how it all began with the first sightings back in 2017. Scientific speculations and the first Oumuamua. Scientists are mostly repeating the old claims about Oumuamua. When the first one passed in 2017, scientists debated whether it was a comet, an asteroid, or something more mysterious. Some had even suggested it might be artificial, a probe sent from another civilization. But with no way to prove it, the idea faded into the background. Now, with new data coming in, those questions were back in full force. Here is the troubling part. The new objects still weren't behaving like anything we'd expect from natural space debris. Instead of slowing down or getting pulled in by the sun's gravity, they are accelerating in erratic patterns, just like Oumuamua had. Some scientists believe this could be caused by outgassing, where ice trapped inside the object gets heated and turns into gas, giving it a slight push. But there was one problem with that idea. None of the objects showed signs of releasing gas. No visible tails, no sudden bursts, just smooth, consistent movement. For Musk and others in the private space industry, the objects appear more artificial rather than natural at all. Some space experts also suggest that this is just the beginning of a new pattern, something we were only beginning to notice. If these weren't random rocks, but instead something with a purpose, then what was that purpose? Were they just passing through, or were they meant to observe? For now, the world's best minds are focused on tracking their movement, gathering data, and planning missions. But there are no definite answers just yet. For better context, let's go back to the beginning, how we first discovered Oumuamua in 2017. It started like any ordinary day in space observation. On October 19, 2017, a scientist named Robert Warwick was reviewing data from the Pan-STARRS telescope in Hawaii. The system had been scanning the sky as usual, looking for asteroids that might be on a collision course with Earth.
We became to known as Oumuamua. It's actually the first interstellar comet, so it's a comet that came from outside our solar system.
But something strange showed up. At first, it looked like just another space rock, but as Warwick dug deeper, something felt off. It was moving too fast. Way too fast, unlike anything from our solar system. But most asteroids and comets follow predictable paths, either orbiting the sun or getting pulled by Jupiter's gravity. But this object? It wasn't orbiting the sun the way everything else did. It was cutting through space at a strange angle. Warwick checked older telescope images and realized something shocking. It had already passed close to Earth and was speeding away. It had gone unnoticed until now. By the time scientists realized what they were looking at, it was already on its way out of the solar system. That's when the real shock hit. It was the first time in human history that we had ever seen something enter our solar system from another star system. Because the discovery was made in Hawaii, astronomers decided to give it a Hawaiian name, Oumuamua. But what exactly was it? That was the problem. No one knew, and no one still knows today. Robert Warwick continued to monitor it. It was spinning, end over end, every 7.3 hours. We're about to reveal the biggest mystery of all. You don't want to miss the next scene. The biggest mystery was the acceleration. Some scientists have tried to explain the acceleration of the object back then. According to Harvard professor Avi Loeb, Oumuamua might not be a rock at all. Instead, it could be a military machine from aliens. Loeb believed that the acceleration could mean that Oumuamua was using some kind of propulsion system. Someone was controlling the speed somewhere, probably remotely, or the pilots were sitting right inside it.
That came from outside the solar system looked really weird. It was discovered by a telescope in Hawaii.
Most scientists weren't ready to go that far, but the problem is that they still couldn't explain what Oumuamua was either. By the time the world realized how important Oumuamua was, it was already too late to send a spacecraft to study it up close. It had come and gone before anyone had a chance to react. All we had were telescope images and data collected in a rush. No close-up photos, no samples. For many in the space community, it was a frustrating moment. A once-in-a-lifetime event had just slipped through our fingers. If we had spotted it earlier, we could have sent a probe. We could have gotten real answers. As Oumuamua continued its journey away from the sun in 2017, telescopes tracked it as long as they could. But it was getting fainter by the day, moving deeper into space. By early 2018, it was gone, out of reach. Scientists knew that one day, another interstellar visitor might come along, but they had no idea when, or if it would be anything like Oumuamua. Even after Oumuamua disappeared, the debate over what it was never stopped. NASA, ESA, and even SpaceX all quietly started making plans for the next time something like this appeared. No one wanted to miss the opportunity again. Then years later, Oumuamua came back, but this time with its siblings. We are about to break down some of the craziest scientific ideas on the Oumuamua phenomenon. Stick with us for the amazing revelations ahead. Is Oumuamua extraterrestrial? We mentioned earlier that Oumuamua was longer than typical space objects, like rocks and asteroids. According to estimates, it has a length somewhere between 240 meters and 400 meters long, but only about 35 meters wide. Another issue was that Oumuamua wasn't stable at all. It was flipping chaotically. If it had been tumbling for millions of years, you'd expect its motion to have evened out, but it hadn't. Something had made it spin like that, and it hadn't slowed down. Scientists also noticed something strange about color. Oumuamua had a reddish surface, which wasn't too unusual. Some space rocks look reddish because of radiation exposure. But the exact shade and reflectivity were off. It was reflecting light in a way that didn't match any known object. Some researchers suggested it was covered in a thin layer of organic material, similar to what's found on some icy bodies in space. Professor Avi Loeb doesn't just believe that Oumuamua is artificial. He backed up his claim with a theory known in the scientific world as the light sail theory. He had spent his career studying astrophysics, black holes, and the formation of the first stars. After close observation of the data collected by telescopes, Loeb suggests that if Oumuamua was thin and lightweight, sunlight alone could have pushed it forward. This is exactly how a light sail works. It is a spacecraft that uses light from a star to propel itself. Think of it like a sailboat, but instead of wind, it catches light. When tiny particles of light hit a thin, reflective surface, they give it a little push. If Oumuamua was made of very thin material, this could explain the strange acceleration we mentioned earlier. But if you think that is a science fiction, remember that scientists are already developing this technology here on Earth. In 2019, the LightSail 2 spacecraft, launched by the Planetary Society, successfully used sunlight to adjust its orbit.
And so far, his orbital dance has worked.
Around the same time, the Breakthrough Starshot project, backed by billionaire Yuri Milner, was working on tiny interstellar probes with light sails designed to travel to the nearest star system, Alpha Centauri. Some scientists had even suggested that alien civilizations might use light sails to send probes across the galaxy. If humans were already testing light sails, was it crazy to think another civilization might have done the same long before us? There was another reason why the light sail idea made sense, and that is the shape of Oumuamua. At first, scientists thought it was a long, cigar-shaped object, but later some models suggested it could have been flat, like a disc or a sheet. A thin, flat shape would be ideal for a light sail because it would catch sunlight more effectively and accelerate the way Oumuamua did. Others believe that it wouldn't be tumbling if it had a flat shape. But the truth is that the tumbling motion didn't rule this out. For instance, if it was a damaged or abandoned light sail, it could have been spinning through space before reaching us. Now we have come to one of the wildest explanations for the phenomenon. What if Oumuamua is spying on us? Think about how we send out probes like Voyager 1 and 2. Those spacecraft are traveling through space, carrying golden records with information about Earth. If another civilization had done something similar, millions or even billions of years ago, Oumuamua could have been drifting through space for longer than human civilization has existed. Here's the mind-blowing part. If Oumuamua was an ancient probe, the civilization that sent it might not even exist anymore. It could have been launched by a species that is now extinct, or it might have been sent so long ago that the builders have no idea where it ended up. However, one thing that made scientists skeptical of this theory was the lack of any detected signals. If Oumuamua was a probe, wouldn't it send out radio waves or some kind of communication? Well, not necessarily. We'll break it down in a bit. You don't want to miss the next scene. Unending mysteries of Oumuamua. If it was designed to be stealthy or passive, it wouldn't be broadcasting anything. Many of our space probes are designed to stay silent most of the time to conserve energy. Also, what if it was broken? If it had been traveling for millions of years, it could have lost power or been damaged by space debris. Astronomers did try to check for signals. In December 2017, the Breakthrough Listen project aimed at powerful radio telescopes at Oumuamua to listen for any unusual transmissions.
And things that are real, they would show up as either a series of dots or trailed objects.
They heard nothing. But again, if the probe was dead, silent, or just built differently than what we expected, we wouldn't have picked up anything anyway. Another theory was that Oumuamua could have been a derelict spaceship, like an abandoned satellite from an advanced civilization. Imagine a big alien spacecraft, once fully operational, now just a drifting shell. If it had been built millions of years ago, all the internal systems could have long since shut down. It might have been a transport ship, a research vessel, or even a message in a bottle designed to drift through space and see where it ended up. Remember that our space junk, the satellites and spacecraft we've left behind, might one day be mistaken for alien artifacts by a future civilization. If an alien species found Voyager 1 in a distant star system 10,000 years from now, would they think it was an active probe or just space debris from a long-lost civilization? We must admit that not everyone liked the idea that Oumuamua might be artificial. Most scientists preferred to stick with natural explanations because that's a safe bet. After all, we've never proven the existence of alien technology, so suggesting that Oumuamua was artificial was a step too far for them. A lot of astronomers said it was more likely an unusual comet, despite the lack of a tail. Some even said it might be made of weird kinds of ice that don't behave like normal comets. But here's the problem. Every natural explanation had holes in it. So even though the artificial hypothesis was controversial, it wasn't completely ruled out. You know, crazy ideas spin up at times like this. Some are even pushing the idea that humans are responsible for the Oumuamua phenomenon. Well, that is why scientists regretted that we didn't get a closer look. If we had detected Oumuamua earlier, we might have been able to send a spacecraft to monitor it, like how NASA sent a probe to visit the asteroid Bennu. Imagine if we had been able to take high-resolution pictures. Would we have seen a smooth metallic surface instead of rock? Would we have found signs of alien engineering? But that doesn't mean the story's over. If one came, others will follow. If Oumuamua was artificial, it wasn't the only one. If an advanced civilization was sending out probes, there could be more, maybe hundreds, maybe thousands. And if Oumuamua was just a natural visitor, that still means interstellar objects are passing through our solar system all the time.
The interstellar visitor entered our solar system from above the plane of the planets.
We just haven't seen most of them yet. In 2019, another interstellar object, 2I/Borisov, was discovered. It was different from Oumuamua. It looked more like a regular comet, but its discovery proved a point. Oumuamua wasn't a one-time event. More interstellar visitors will come, and next time, we will always be more ready than the previous. So what happens now? Will we be able to catch the next one in time? And what if something even stranger shows up? Keep watching to find the answers and many more. What comes next after Oumuamua? Oumuamua is speeding away into deep space, and we may never see it again. But that doesn't mean the story's over. Now that we know what to look for, we'll probably find a lot more. The first Oumuamua escaped in 2017. Now, it is trying to escape with two counterparts. But you know what? That can't happen again. Astrophysics and space scientists agree that if we want to study the next interstellar object properly, we need better telescopes, ones that can spot these things earlier. The good news? That's already happening. A new telescope called the Vera C. Rubin Observatory is being built in Chile. It can scan the entire sky every few nights, which means it will be able to spot fast-moving objects like Oumuamua much earlier than before. It's expected to be operational soon, and once it is, we might start detecting interstellar visitors regularly. And if we catch one early enough, we could send a spacecraft to intercept it before it's gone.
After the cylindrical spacecraft that passed through the solar system in
And that brings us to the next big thing. It seems the world needs to build something much more than telescopes. We need a super fast machine, something fast enough to chase it down, take pictures, and analyze its surface up close. A group of scientists has already proposed a mission called Project Lyra. The idea is to use a powerful rocket-assisted spacecraft that could reach an interstellar object before it leaves the solar system. If we could launch such a probe in time, we could finally answer the biggest question. What is Oumuamua? Just a rock or something more? Right now, this is just a concept. The challenge is that interstellar objects move incredibly fast, and we need a next-generation propulsion system to catch up. But the technology is improving. If we build more powerful spacecraft in the next decade, we might be able to catch the next Oumuamua in real time. However, the wildest possibility is this. What if the next interstellar object isn't just another space rock? We are talking about something artificial that leaves no doubt. Well, there are too many unknowns, but one thing we're sure of is that at that point, everything will change. Governments, space agencies, and private companies would all scramble to study it. It would be the biggest discovery in human history. But then, we'd have to ask another interesting question. Do we try to make contact with the machine, or should we destroy it so it doesn't send intelligence about us back to the alien control base? If it's just a dead probe, there's nothing to talk to. But what if it's still functioning? Then there would be a lot of debates about the best line of action. Right now, there's no official plan for this scenario. No government has a step-by-step guide on what to do if we find alien technology drifting through space. Some scientists, like those at SETI, have thought about it, but they've not agreed on any strategy for now. According to Stephen Hawking, before he passed, it would be dangerous to try to make contact with such craft. If an advanced alien spaceship noticed us, they might see us the same way we see animals in the wild. Interesting, but not important. Now, this is a very interesting point. History shows that when a powerful civilization meets a weaker one, things don't always go well for the weaker side. Just see how we've hunted animals in the wild. God forbid, but maybe we might become the next deer and antelope running from the hunter's scope. On the other hand, some argue that if an advanced species is sending probes, they might just be curious, scientists, explorers, or even a civilization that doesn't care about us at all. So they encourage us to try to establish communications with them. What do you think? Either way, if the next interstellar visitor turns out to be artificial, it will change everything we thought we knew about the universe. Even if the next object we find turns out to be natural, that doesn't mean the search for alien technology is over. Some scientists believe there might already be alien artifacts in our solar system. We just haven't looked hard enough. Let's break it down. If an advanced civilization wanted to observe us, they wouldn't necessarily send a spaceship broadcasting signals. They might drop a probe into our solar system and let it sit quietly, watching, waiting, gathering data, checking vulnerabilities, and recording the details of how we live. Oumuamua is not the first strange occurrence that has been observed in the universe, and it will likely not be the last. And to be honest, scientists are not sleeping on it. We are about to reveal other phenomena close to Oumuamua, but just before then, let's talk about Avi Loeb's new project, Galileo. Other strange interstellar occurrences. The Galileo Project was launched by Avi Loeb, the Harvard professor who studied Oumuamua.
If there is any object in our backyard that may have arrived
from a neighbor's yard.
Loeb's team is searching for physical evidence of alien technology, not just radio signals, but actual objects. That could mean searching for old interstellar objects, scanning the moon for anything unusual, or even studying strange UFO reports that pilots have seen. The idea is not to assume aliens are real, but to collect actual data, because if there's something out there, we should be looking. The universe is a big place, and now we know that objects from other star systems pass through ours all the time. Some will be boring, some might be mysterious, and maybe, just maybe, one will prove we're not alone. The key is to be ready. If another Oumuamua-like object shows up, we need the tools to study it immediately. That means better telescopes, faster spacecraft, and a plan for what to do if we find something truly unexpected, like an attack or defense plan, because if we wait too long, we'll just watch it disappear into the void, just like last time. And talking about other strange interstellar phenomena, let's go back to 2014. 3 years before Oumuamua, something small but incredibly fast entered Earth's atmosphere.
But to me, the most significant is for what Oumuamua can tell us about the past of our solar system.
And burned up over the Pacific Ocean near Papua New Guinea. At the time, no one realized how special it was. It was just another meteor until scientists looked at the data years later. It turned out that this object, now called CNEOS 2014-1-8, was moving way too fast to be from our solar system. Based on its trajectory and speed, researchers concluded that it came from outside our solar system, making it the first known interstellar object to ever hit Earth. That discovery alone was baffling. But then came an even crazier idea. What if fragments of it are still at the bottom of the Pacific Ocean? Avi Loeb launched an expedition in 2023 to search for pieces of the meteor. His team found tiny metal spheres on the ocean floor. According to early analysis, they had unusual compositions, not quite like anything found in natural space rocks. Some even speculated that the meteor could have been artificial, a probe, a fragment of alien technology, or something we simply don't understand. Before Loeb's mission, the USG Space Command had officially stated with 99.999% certainty in 2022 that the meteor was interstellar. Of course, that's just a theory for now. But one thing is clear. We've been hit by objects from outside our solar system before, and it will happen again. There is another event from 2019. Now there was another phenomenon, but space has given us other mysteries, like the bizarre signals known as fast radio bursts. FRBs are powerful bursts of radio waves that come from deep space. They last only milliseconds, but they carry as much energy as the sun releases in a whole year. The first one was discovered in 2007, and since then, astronomers have detected hundreds more. We get proof many of the things happening in space, but scientists raise the alarm every time a new phenomenon is detected. Thank you for staying with us. What do you think could be happening in our interstellar spaces? Share your opinions with us in the comment section. If you enjoyed the video, like, share, and subscribe to our channel. Also, click the following video on your screen, and you will enjoy it.